Hi guys, my name is David Negrier. I'm a lead developer on the Mouf framework, and today I'm going to explain you how to build components using the Mouf framework. If you haven't seen the previous video tutorial that is about using components, I encourage you to see that tutorial first. In this tutorial, we're going to use Mouf to design an extensible system that applies effects to images. I want to stress out that Mouf is not about manipulating images. It's really an object-oriented framework to do dependency injection. We could use Mouf to build an MVC framework or a database layer, whatever. Today we're going to use it to apply the effect to images because it's fun, but we could do much more using Mouf, of course. So let's get started. First of all, I will start with a very simple script that has nothing to do with Mouf. It's just to show how to use the GD library to apply an effect. In this script, you can see that I'm loading an image file that represents the Eiffel Tower. It's here, you can see it. And I'm going to apply an effect on this image. Using the image filter function, I'm going to put it in grayscale and then colorize the image in a color that is close to the red, so it's going to look like a sepia effect actually. Finally, using the image, I'm outputting it directly to the browser as a JPEG image, and I'm closing the image. It's basic PHP, it's using the GD library, it's not using anything special, but let's just first verify that it works. So here you can see it works. I've applied the effect and the image looks like sepia. Now, since I want to build an extensible framework using Mouf, the first thing I want to do is to build an object. Because Mouf relies on objects, it's an object-oriented framework. So let's do that. I've got the code already prepared. It's here. I'm going to copy and paste it in my project. Here we go. And let's have a look at the first class. I called it image. And this class really takes a path, the path to the image, a format. It's an output format for the image. It could be JPEG, it could be PNG, for instance. And well, the color, we want to color the image. So here it's still our sepia color. And finally, it has a private image properties that will contain the resource. And a toEmg function, and this is the function that will apply the filter. So it's pretty much the same as we used here. The only difference is we added the possibility to output in two different formats, JPEG or PNG. But basically it's still the same code. The first thing I want to show you is that we can use this class without using Mouf, without using any magic. So I've got this little script that is requiring the image.php file, and it's creating a new image, and well, it's filling the path, the output format, and that's it. So let's check and see if it works. I guess it should. Okay, it works. So pretty much the same actually. So now what we're going to do is we are going to use Mouf to create an instance of that class. And to do this, well, Mouf is already installed. If you don't know how to install Mouf, there is a video tutorial explaining how to do that. So here, this is the Mouf main interface. And well, the first thing I want to do is I want to explain to Mouf that the image.php file exists and that it can use it. So I'm going to click on include PHP files here, and I'm going to add a new file to be loaded each time. And well, here it is, image.php. Small problem here. Oops. Let's start again. Okay, it works. So I'm adding image.php and I'm saving it. Now that I registered the file, well, you can see that it detected the file and that it will apply autoload. And if I'm looking at the details, I can see that he found the image class, so everything went all right. Now I'm going to create a new instance of that class. Usually, I should go in create a new instance, and the first thing I see is that my class is not registered here. This is because I haven't told Mouf that this class could be used as a component. So the first thing you want to do when you build a component is to add in the class an annotation that tells Mouf, okay, this class is a component, you can use it and you can instantiate it in Mouf. So just with this annotation, if I go back in Mouf and I refresh the image, it's much better. So now I'm going to create an instance of this class. So I'm going to call it Eiffel Tower. Let's go. So here we go. I can see that I can't see any properties actually. And just like for the component annotation, each property that can be used in the Mouf interface must be declared with a special kind of annotation. It's the add property annotation. So, for instance, here for the path, if I put add property and I go back here and I use the refresh button, here now I can fill the path using Mouf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put property annotations in every important field of my class. So I want to be able to fill the format. The red, green, and blue colors are important. And the image, I definitely don't want it to be a property. It's being used on runtime, but there is absolutely no use of filling it in Mouf, so I'm not putting a add property annotation. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, much better. You can see that Mouf also is able to detect default values and to propose those default values here. I want to stress out also that I'm using public properties here, but I could be using setters also and put the add property annotation in the setter. But for the sake of simplicity here, I'm just using public properties, just like that. So there is also another annotation I can tell you about. It's the add compulsory annotation. If I use it, it will just add a small star next to the name of the property. Mouf does not enforce this compulsory annotation. It's just here to tell you that you should really think about providing some details here because it's important. Finally, for the format, well, as you can see, the format is a string, but the truth is it can only have really two values. If I look at the code, it can have JPEG or PNG value, but not, well, it cannot have any other value, or otherwise it would be wrong. I have an annotation for that. We can use the @one_of annotation, and here I can put a separate list of strings. So for instance, here I will fill it with all possible values, JPEG and PNG. And if I go back in the Mouf instance, here, now Mouf is only proposing me these two values and I can't do anything wrong with it. I have to choose in between those two values. So it's pretty useful to avoid any mistakes when you configure an instance and you have a property that has only a finite list of possible values. So I'm going to select JPEG, and for the path, I think it's Eiffel_tower dot JPEG. I'm going to save this. Good. And I have my instance. Now I have to use it. To use it, it's quite simple. I'm going to view what is in test.php. So here is a very, very simple Mouf script. I'm only requiring Mouf.php, and Mouf will require any file for me, especially the image.php file since I registered it. And as you can see, I can use Mouf get Eiffel Tower function. The get Eiffel Tower function has been created when I created the instance named Eiffel Tower, and I can just call to img directly, and it should be working. So let's have a look. Test.php. Cool, it's working. The nice thing with that is I can really configure my image the way I want. So for instance, if I find I would like rather a blue image than a red one, for instance, just changing instance like that and saving the file. If I refresh here, I've got another image, so it's pretty cool. That's pretty much the basics of creating a component. So to make it simple, all you have to remember is that there are three simple rules. Components are classes with the @component annotation. If you want to specify properties, you have to put a @property annotation. And now there is a third rule I have not been speaking about. It's that the classes you are using as components must be callable without passing any arguments to the constructor. So basically, either you have no constructor, or if you have a constructor and it has arguments, all of them should be optional. It's because Mouf will create the component using new component and without passing any arguments. It will fill the properties later, actually. If you have those three conditions, well, and it's pretty simple to fill these three conditions, then you can build components really, really easily. So now we're going to try to make it even more extensible. So let's have a look at the next step. Right now I have a class that can apply a bunch of, only one effect. It's a sepia effect. And maybe I would like something more extensible, maybe a class that would accept a lot of different effects, like the sepia effect, or a resize effect, or whatever effect can come to mind, an effect to pixelate or to blur the image. So I'm going to build this mechanism, and you're going to see it's really pretty easy, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an image class. I already have it, but right now the image class will accept a bunch of effects that should implement the effect interface. So I will have a sepia effect and a resize effect for this demo. You can add as many as you like, actually. So let's go back to that sample, and I'm going to grab the code for the extended image effect here. I'm going to override everything. Here we are. So let's have a look at this image class one more time, and look how it evolved. I still have a path to load the image, I still have a format, and I removed the red, green, blue stuff. It has nothing to do in an image class. However, I've added a bunch of filters. So filters are actually the filters class instance is an array of effect interface objects, of objects implementing the effect interface, actually. And what I'm doing in the toImg function is that I'm applying the filters one after the other on the image by calling the apply effect function of the filter object. If I look at the interface that is here, you can see the effect interface is very simple. It only needs to have an apply effect function. And I pushed everything that is related to effects into this apply effect function. So here I've got my sepia effect. It has the red, green, and blue properties. And really the apply effect is about just applying the two filters and returning the image once the filters have been applied. In order to add a bit to this tutorial, I've also written a resize effect. Resize effect is pretty simple too. As you can see, it takes a percent. It's a percent the image will be resized. 1 is 100% and 0 is just like, well, no image. And well, what I'm doing here is getting the new image and applying image copy resized. That is resizing the image and returning the new image. It's pretty simple. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put all this into Mouf. So I'm going to go back in the Mouf interface, and I'm going to include a bunch of other PHP files. So I know I want to add the effect interface class, the resize effect, and the sepia effect class. And I still have my image.php file, so everything is alright. I'm gonna save it. Okay, everything is correctly detected and will be auto-loaded when required. And well, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create new instances. So I'm going to see this Eiffel Tower image. As you can see now, red, green, blue properties have disappeared, but I've got another property that is filters. And since it's an array of objects, Mouf is automatically proposing to me to add, because it's an array, a new component. So I can click on it, and I can select an existing instance that extends the element effect interface. Right now I have none, so I'm going to create a new instance. So let's call it sepia effect. I'm going to select the class of this instance. Let's create it, and well, let's apply the effect. Well, I'm going to change the colors. Right now I want it really to be green. It's more fun. So let's save that. So the class has been correctly saved. If I click here, I can go back to the parent class, that is the Eiffel Tower, the parent instance, sorry, that is the Eiffel Tower instance, and I can test it. And it's working. And what's really fun is I can add as many effects as I want. So maybe what I want is add a new effect, and maybe I want to add the resize effect. Okay. And well, by 50% it's fine. Let's save. And let's see what it looks like now. And it works. And maybe I want only to resize and not have the sepia effect applied. Why not? Let's check. Here, I resize and I'm not applying the colorize effect. So, well, as you can see, really using a bunch of standard PHP and just adding a few annotations and filling correctly the variable type. This is really important. I should stress that out. This is what makes the magic possible, providing the kind of object that is expected in a property. So if you've got that, it's very, Mouf will build for you automatically the graphical interface that will let you customize your application. So it's pretty easy, and it makes dependency injection really easy. You don't have any configuration file. It's just a nice interface that you can use to build your application from your objects. So that's it. Now, of course, there are many other things you can do with Mouf. For instance, you can use it to build other kind of objects. I already said that. Well, the next tutorial should be about learning how to package your components together. You can build packages of components that you can easily distribute, and those packages can have dependencies on each other. So I encourage you to have a look at the next tutorial in the documentation. Well, I hope you enjoyed this presentation and that you will be interested in trying Mouf. I strongly encourage you to do that because I really think it can help you being more efficient and developing a cleaner code. So thank you very much for your attention, and goodbye.